Hey guys, this is Jess Mather of Indulgent Fitness, and today I want to record this video because I see this problem come up a lot in my fitness practice, which is how to stay consistent with your diet and your fitness. And right now, conventional advice is just not working, right? We still have this major problem with being able to stay consistent with our training and our diet. That's a lot of the reasons why somebody hires a fitness coach or a personal trainer. So I wanted to share with you the number one way to stay consistent with your diet and your exercise. But I'm going to give you a forewarning that this isn't like your conventional advice of put your gym bag by the door and prep your meals in advance and, all the healthy habits and things like that that are beneficial to staying consistent. But sometimes there's some other issues going on under the surface that need to be looked at, that just doing those simple basic tasks aren't going to cut it. So before I tell you the number one way to stay consistent, I want to go over a couple reasons why you currently might not be consistent, why you're not following through with what you want to do for your health. And a lot of the time we aren't really aware of it until somebody like me calls you out on it. So we're going to go over a couple reasons why that might be, and you might have a couple of these reasons why you're not staying consistent. So follow along with me, see if one of these resonates with you. So number one reason why you aren't consistent is you simply don't prioritize it. So your excuses, you always just kind of go with those instead of actually like pushing through them and getting things done. And sometimes excuses are warranted, like if somebody's in the hospital or something, you got in a car accident, right? Like those, we're not talking about those excuses. Those aren't even excuses. Those are just reasons why like fitness needs to take on the back burner. I'm talking about excuses that come up like it's raining, I have a headache, my favorite gym shorts are dirty. Like those little things that don't really matter. Like you can go around them and you just don't prioritize it. So a couple reasons why you might not do that, or why you might do that, is you don't know your why. Like you don't even understand why you're really doing this. Maybe somebody told you you had to, which never works out, right? Somebody tells you have to do something, you don't really want to do it as much. This could be a doctor, a spouse, a friend, anybody, because then you don't really know why you're in it for yourself. Then you're kind of just doing it for somebody else. You're not doing it for you. And that usually doesn't work out very well. So you need to realize why you're doing it. Second, if it just doesn't feel good, you're not going to prioritize it. We're human beings. We like to do things that feel good, right? So if something really sucks, we're not going to want to do it day after day after day. So sometimes that means somebody pushed you to do some sort of program or routine you're not comfortable with. You don't feel like you have any control over the situation either, and it just doesn't feel good to you. A huge one why you might not prioritize it is because you don't actually believe that you can do it. You don't think that this time is going to be the time where you're actually going to get the results, because maybe you've failed in the past. You've tried a bunch of different programs and you still consistently are not getting the results you want. So sometimes if you don't believe you can do it, even way back in your head, you just don't think you can push through, you're not going to give it your all, right? You're going to kind of half-ass it. And lastly, this is a big one. You don't believe that you're worth the time or the energy or the resources in order to prioritize yourself. You always put other people in front of you, kids, spouse, other family members, friends, boss, clients. Everybody else comes before you, and you're simply not prioritizing it because you don't believe that you deserve that sort of individualized attention for yourself, right? Because it is a one-on-one time with yourself. So those are a couple of reasons why you might not prioritize it. You don't know your why enough. You don't know why you're even doing it. Maybe somebody just told you. It doesn't feel good, whatever you're doing right now. You don't believe that you can do it, so you're kind of half-ass it. And lastly, you don't believe that you're worth the time, energy, or resources. Another reason why you might not be consistent, stick with me, I know it's already been 5 minutes, you have high expectations. This is so common, and people just fall off the wagon because they have these huge expectations. They get discouraged way too quickly. They go too hard too fast. So like these juice cleansing things, and sometimes they can be fine. Depends on what you're using them for. But they go on these massive, like, I'm going to exercise 6-7 days a week and eat nothing but freshly pressed juice from my expensive, really hard to clean juicer. And you can't stay consistent with that. I mean, you have to make smaller steps. Another thing is people compare themselves to other people and say, well, look at this chick on the internet. Like, she lost 30 pounds in a month, and why aren't I there? But then again, you don't know their whole story, right? You don't know what they went through. You don't know if they don't work and they just, can dedicate all of their time into prioritizing themselves. And lastly, which is a huge one, you're too attached to the outcome. So you're constantly looking at this one goal, and if you don't make your goal exactly how you want to make your goal, then you get frustrated and you give up. And we often think we can control the outcome. That's nice to think about, that we can control the outcome, but we can't control the outcome. All we can control are the choices we make leading up to that outcome. So getting so attached to it, one, you lose sight of all the cool things you learn along the way, the journey. And two, if you don't make that outcome, you're going to get pissed and discouraged, and then you're not going to believe in yourself. So you see, this is kind of this cycle. So I spent enough time there talking about why you're probably not consistent. Probably a couple of those have resonated with you, why you're not consistent. So now we're going to talk about the number one way to stay consistent, to remediate all of those problems. Let me tell you, this is not an easy fix. This is not an instant fix. I'm just telling you what does work if you practice it on a regular basis. So the number one way to stay consistent would be making a massive mindset shift on how you approach exercise and diet. So I really like this quote. I don't know where I got it from, but ask yourself this: if exercise and diet had no effect on what I looked like, would I still do it? I had to face that question when I was forced not to exercise from some hormonal hell shitstorm, and I was nervous, like, oh my God, am I going to put on more weight? Am I going to lose all my muscle and my strength? And it just kind of showed me, like, oh, I was still really using exercise as a means to just control my body composition. And once I went through that phase, like once I couldn't exercise for a couple months and then I could slowly get back into it, I realized everything changed. I was like, you know what? I just love to do this for myself. And what I realized was when you approach exercise and diet more from a perspective of self-care, a form of self-care, it completely changes the conversation. And so it's a whole little ball game right there, right? Because a lot of people don't even prioritize self-care in general. So one, you have to think of exercise and diet as self-care, right? Because the body literally needs movement. We thrive on movement. We thrive on eating healthy foods. So if you think about it that way, yes, movement and nutrition is self-care, strengthening your body, making it more mobile, flexible. That stuff is self-care, right? But if you're already not even prioritizing self-care either, that's just a double whammy. And maybe you're not prioritizing self-care for several different reasons. For example, the first one we mentioned, you don't believe that you're worth it, or you put other people before you. So that's a fundamental issue in and of itself. But that is the kind of shit that you have to go through, is to kind of realize, okay, this isn't just to make myself look a certain way, because we often think like, oh, if I lose the 20, 30 pounds, I'm going to love myself, or I'm going to feel accepted, I'm going to feel sexy. But that can be true, but it's not always true, because it's often the mental shifts that happen along that way. So if you simply look at movement and nutrition as this powerful form of self-care that you need to do regularly, you will be able to stay consistent, because then it's part of your value system, right? To take care of yourself, because you have this self-love, which is another thing that you need to start cultivating, this sort of self-love, to say, I prioritize myself. I'm going to do the things that make me thrive as a human being, that make me thrive as an individual. That is the number one way to stay consistent. It's not willpower. It's just establishing this value base, valuing yourself, valuing movement and nutrition as really powerful forms of self-care. So I know that probably wasn't the answer you were looking for. You know, we want this super simple way to stay consistent and everything is perfect and roses, but it's not. I mean, it's hard and it takes practice and diligence and sometimes can take a long period of time. That's why these 3-month programs, you know, they do for fitness are good. I run 3-month programs, but usually it's a long time after that where things will start settling in, depending on where you are in your journey. But it is so relieving when you don't have to force yourself to exercise and eat well. It's not this sort of guilt of on or off the wagon. It is so liberating, I can't even put it into words. And you can maintain your weight effortlessly. You're not bogged down by constantly thinking about exercise and diet and your weight. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this video, if you kind of jived with this message, I'm doing a free training December 5th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. That's the online webinar. It will be live. It's called the 3-Step Formula for Sustainable Fat Loss, a Strong Body, and a Healthy Mind, because we need all three, right? We need our mindset in check. We need to build muscle, get our body strong without beating it into submission and doing 1,000 box jumps. And we need to eat well, right? And not in this restricted pattern. If you are local to Altamont Springs, Florida, near Orlando, I will be doing a local workshop with the same material December 4th at 2:00 p.m. Eastern. So in the registration website, you can pick between either of those if you're local. I haven't done a local one before, so bear with me. You might be getting up and moving around a little bit during it. It will be at a gym in Altamont Springs. So hopefully you guys will pop onto that and get some more value. It is literally probably, I say, the most valuable thing I created in the past 6-7 years of creating fitness content for the internet. It is that good. Like, it's just everything that I'm pulling from all sorts of angles. So hopefully you'll make it. There is a recording for 48 hours after, and then it's completely gone. I'm not going to do it again. Hopefully I'll never do another webinar again because they're a lot of work, but I love them and they're so fun and I really feel like I can connect with you guys. But this will be the last time I run this particular webinar. So hopefully I'll see you there. The link is somewhere associated with this video. And I will see you guys there. Bye.